Hey folks, welcome to the next video in this series. I'm gonna try to make this one a lot shorter, but we'll see how it goes. Now that I have the car driving around, and I did a little bit more tweaking on the tires to just to make it a little bit easier for me on the keyboard to get it around without spinning out. I gave them a little bit more traction, and I gave them so much traction that the front end actually jumps in the air when I get on the gas. But since I'm using the keyboard for now, that just makes it a little bit easier to drive. So what I wanted to do today is two things. First, I just want to quickly investigate the day sequence plugin that is relatively new. I think it's called Day. Is it called Day? Yeah, Day Sequence. So I added it to the project earlier, and I'm gonna plan on adding that into the level here. I think that'll only take a few minutes. Then I'm gonna start working on adding classes that are gonna handle the mechanics of timing for the vehicles. So let me get started here. I am going to, since I have that plugin enabled, let's see what we got here. Sun, moon, and day sequence. Based on the description, I'm thinking this sun moon is what I want. So I'm going to take that and I guess get rid of, well, let's see actually. Let's see what happens. So I'll get rid of the skylight, and we still got light. I'll get rid of the directional light, and now we have darkness, and it's getting light out. Let me take a look at the settings. Okay. Sure seems too light for midnight. What happens if I get rid of that? Nothing. Yeah, okay. See what other settings we've got here. Day length 24 hours. Time per cycle. How long does it take for a day cycle to complete in world time? Okay, five minutes. So we're gonna go through the whole 24 hours in 5 minutes. If I just sit here, I'm guessing. Yeah, you can actually see it getting lighter. Okay. Excellent. Okay. Well, it's working. And all the reading I did about this tells me that it automatically replicates to all the clients. So uh, everyone will be in sync and should see the exact same thing on their screens in a multiplayer situation. So I guess that's all I need to do, and I'm happy with that. So I'm gonna save that, and I'm gonna start working on the classes. I don't know if I'm gonna put any logic in them yet, but I'm gonna start working on the classes for the timing, for timing the vehicles, start finish line and sector lines, that sort of thing. So since I've never done this before, right, what I try to think about here is how would this work in the real world, and that's sort of what I want to try to model And I know that in the real world, on a racetrack, the cars have transponders in them, and the track will have timing loops which run under the track, basically a wire running under the track, and they'll have them every, I don't know how often, but they have a lot of them. And that's how they know which cars are ahead, behind, how long a lap takes, all of that stuff all comes from the transponder and those timing loops. And so that's sort of what I want to model. And so I know I'm going to need a couple things. The first thing I'm going to need is an actor that will basically be my timing loop. Basically, the wire that runs under the track. I need something that models that. And so I know I need an actor for that. So I'm going to go ahead, and I don't know what folder I want to put this in. I'll just put it under a systems folder, I guess. I guess that's what I'll do. So add an Unreal class. We're going to inherit from actor, and we're going to do the public private thing, and I will put this in a folder called systems, and we will call this Cobra timing loop. And what I'm going to have in that is and I've said this in other series, but I'll say this again. I really like commenting code, but I don't need comments that are obvious, and these are obvious, so I get rid of them whenever I generate a class. So let's look at the C++ file. It's got a bunch of garbage comments in it too. Okay. So I'm going to need a like a collision box to detect when a car passes through this. Basically, it'll just be a box that we'll put across the track, and it'll be invisible, and it'll extend. Really, I'll extend it pretty far off the track, and just so I can make sure even if someone's not on the track, they cross the timing loop. And then we'll write code to handle the event that fires when someone hits it. So that's what that class will do. And then we need another class that actually takes all that information from the timing loops and turns it into, the positions of the cars and how many laps they've done, what their lap times are, etc. And so what we need to use is, I think, the game state class in Unreal Engine. It is a class that also is replicated to every client, so we can on the server we can put information in that object, and that information will be automatically well, not automatically, we'd have to write code, but it will be replicated to all of the clients. So that's the class that we want to use. However, first we'll create that class. We're going to add an Unreal class and call it just Cobra game state, and that's going to inherit from game state base. Yep. Okay. Okay, that's perfect. However, I'm not going to. So what I could do is just put all of this stuff directly in the game state class, right? I could come in and put a private T array of integers and call it positions, right? I could do that right here in this game state class, but I don't want to do that. What I do want to do is encapsulate I want to encapsulate all of the timing and scoring into a class that I would then reference from the game state. So I'm going to create another class and call it Cobra Timing System. And I'm going to inherit from UObject. If I was putting this on an actor, if I was going to use it from an actor, it'd be an actor component, but I'm not. I'm going to use it from the game state, and so it needs to be a UObject. And everything's correct, so I'm going to hit that. Oh, I did that wrong. Let me get rid of it and try again. I forgot to put it in the systems folder. So Cobra Timing System, UObject public, and it's in the systems folder. Now we got it. Okay. And let me take a quick break. I gotta check on something and I'll be right back. I'm gonna pause. Okay, I'm back. So while I was checking on my dinner, I was thinking that I really should have put these classes in a folder called timing instead of a folder called systems. So I'm gonna see. Now this is not something I've done before, so I'm hoping it works out. If it doesn't, I'll end up having to recreate the classes, but we'll see. I'm just gonna move these guys right over. So normally there'd be no question that this would work, but I don't know when I created those files. I don't know the inner workings of the, the Unreal. I don't know if it recorded that folder somewhere. I don't think it does, but you never know. I think that automatically fixed itself. That one. No, maybe I... Okay. Hopefully that works out. If it doesn't, like I said, I'll just blow everything away and recreate it later offline. So now that I have this, I know what I want to do is I would like an array. My timing system is going to have an array of the timing loops. Actually, I don't know if I want an array or if there's something like a dictionary. Let me look that up real quick. Okay, tmap. Tmap is what I want. I should have known that. I think I've actually used it before. So what I'm going to do is make a U property. Let me just copy this from somewhere else so I don't have to type it out. I'm lazy like that. Okay. So my timing system, and we'll call this timing. And instead of an input context here, we're gonna have, come on now, tmap it's going to be an int and a Cobra timing loop, and we'll add a forward declaration for that, and we'll just call this timing loops. That's not how you do that. Okay, timing loops. So, and we're going to override void, come on, virtual begin play. No override. Does not. That's interesting. So that's very interesting. I thought that method would be there. I'm gonna have to look that up because I'm almost positive. Well, I'll make a constructor. And I need to think about this for a second. Right, okay, I understand. So I realized I'm inheriting from you object, which does not have begin play, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make my own, whoops. I'm gonna make my own begin play and we'll call it from the game state. So that's the way we'll handle that. So we've got a constructor and we've got a begin play method. When the begin play method fires, what we're going to do is grab all of the actors of type Cobra timing loop and put them in this tmap in the proper order. So we need to, our timing loop is going to have some properties on it. One of the things it's going to have is an index, and we'll just initialize it to 0. Obviously we don't need this. So we're going to have an index, and that's going to be the order. So index 0 will be the start finish line, and then it'll go from there in the proper order. I probably also want a type on here because there's certain types, right? There's a start finish line, there's a sector 1 timing loop, a sector 2 timing loop, and a sector 3, or not a sector 3, that's the start finish line, but sector 1 and 2 will have timing loops, and I'll need to know which timing loops are sector 1 and sector 2, and then there'll just be generic or basic timing loops that are just they're not, there's nothing special about them. But we've got the 3 kinds. We've got start finish, we've got sector 1 and sector 2, and we need to know which ones those are. So we need some sort of a type flag. So I think I need to make an enum, And I always have to look this up because actually I don't want to make a class. I just want to make a file, and we'll call it timing loop types Cobra. I always prefix Cobra timing loop types .h. Okay, so now that I have this header file, I'm going to do pragma once, and I'm going to make an enum here, and you need to mark these with uenum to make them visible in blueprints. What am I doing? Why? That was weird. The color in there for a second. Okay, enum class, and we'll call this e Cobra timing loop types. And we've got 3 types. We've got start finish, and we have sector 1, sector 2, and general. And that's all we need for that. So we're gonna do E timing Cobra timing. And we'll call it timing loop type. So that's going to be our type. Or this is in the wrong place. What am I doing? No, it's not. Okay. So we've got our index, we've got our timing loop type, and the only other thing we need is the collision box to handle when somebody runs into us. So we're going to do a is it U box component? Yes. So it'll be T object pointer U box. And we'll just call it box component. And that should be all we need. So I'm going to need to initialize this guy in my constructor. Yep, okay. So let's take care of that. We'll just call it box component. Okay, so we've initialized it. I'm going to set this to the root component. think that's all I really need to do here, at least for now, until I can put the collision detection in. But for now, I think that's all I need. I'm going to go ahead and compile. I'm going to compile this, and I'll pause while we wait for that. And I got one little problem right here I didn't realize. Oops. All these need to be pointers, all your Unreal objects. Oh, and one more issue I didn't system. I did not I didn't implement these two methods. Okay, there we go. Okay, worked fine that time. So if we come in here now, and I'll make a folder, timing, and let's see if I can create a blueprint. There we go. So this is perfect, right? I just need to set the height and width of this box. And what I'm thinking, what I was thinking about while this was compiling, is I'm going to need these boxes to be different heights and widths for each instance that I place down. So let me see how that's going to work real quick. So if I drop this guy right here, it also needs to be rotated, obviously. So rotating is not a problem. But can I set the box extents? I can't, because I don't have a property for it. So I'm going to have to create a sort of wrapper property around the box extents property that's on that box component. If I take a look at that box component, it just says box extent, and then it's X, Y, and Z. So I'm guessing that's a vector, probably. So let me take a look real quick. Cobra timing loop. Let me actually look at the C++ file. Get placement extent, maybe. Yes, get the extent used when placing this actor in the editor, used for pulling back hit. But I can't set it. Okay, I'm gonna have to look this up. Okay, I see what I'm supposed to do. I don't know why I did not realize this. So it's placed in the world. I can click the box component here. There we go. That's perfect. So I can make it as wide or as I need it to be. Okay. Right, so the idea is we would place this one right on the start finish line, right there. And now everyone will hit it. And we're going to set this one to timing loop type start finish. Perfect. So because we did that enum, this is just a drop down. It looks really nice. I like the way enums work. I could have done something like had an integer or a string and put 1, 2, 3 or whatever in there, but this is the enum thing, just makes it look nicer. So this is index 0, this is start finish line, and it's start finish type. And then the idea is I'll place these all over the place, right? So I can duplicate this one and move it to right here, and this is now index 1, and it's general. I don't know if I'll really use that much, or if I'll come up with some other way to keep track of where the cars are at, but I'll see as I go along. And I don't know where, say, sector 1 and 2 would be on this track, but I guess this is as good a spot as any right here. I actually know what, I'm gonna kill that, and I'm just gonna select that. You know what, let me put a folder here, timing loops. And Unreal is nice enough to just go ahead and index those for me. So you know what, I'm not going to put the sector one here, because it'll be nice to, as I place them down, it'll just automatically number them for me. So I'm going to leave that as it is, and I'm going to do one more thing, because I'm at probably about 30 minutes. Yeah, I'm a little more than 30 minutes. So I'm going to do one more thing real quick. I'm going to come into Cobra game state. Oh, I can get rid of this. And let me actually just copy this. I'm going to go to Cobra game state, and I'm going to create a U timing system, U Cobra timing system. Go add a forward declaration. Oh, come on. Rider. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to, not a box component, and we'll put a constructor on this. And that's where we'll override the begin play. Whoops. Come on. There we go. So we're gonna initialize that timing system, and I think that's where I'm gonna stop. Later, of course, right in here is where I'm gonna come and grab all of the timing loops that are in the level. I'm going to put them in order and put them in that T map that I created, but I'm not going to do that right now because I'm already past 30 minutes. I want to keep these a little bit shorter than I have been. So I'm going to stop right here, and next time I'll work on loading in the timing loops, and I'll actually do something with the box component here. We'll handle the hit event. And when we'll handle the hit event, and we'll figure out exactly what we're going to do when that hit event gets hit. But I know one thing we're going to do is we're going to record probably the time that they hit it. We're also going to set some property on the vehicle that holds the last timing loop that was hit. So that if they turn around and go over it again, it doesn't record it again, right? I don't want them to back over a timing loop and have it record that. I want to know, okay, they already passed the timing loop. I'm gonna have to do some logic and say, if you've already hit it, you can't hit it again until you can only hit it if you've crossed over the one behind it or something like that. So that's what I'll do next time. I'll stop here. So until then, take care, and I'll see you then.